Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show!
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
Boring.
A weekly podcast about sports since 2011.
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
With a focus on football.
Kansas City 31, San Francisco 20. Mahomes takes the snap. He is just going to throw it long for Demarcus Robinson. It is going to use up all the time. The game is over, and the Chiefs' kingdom has firmly planted its flag on top of football's highest summit. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 54.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
Attention parents and coaches. Do you wish you had a safe social media platform for your youth athletes? Fortunately for you, there's a revolutionary new app that helps with just that. Introducing Small Player, Big Play. Small Player Big Play app provides young athletes, parents, and coaches a user-friendly sports social media platform. The app allows users to connect with friends, make new friends, create groups, text, chat, and post pictures and videos of you and your teammates participating in your favorite sport or activity. To begin, users can simply download and sign up for the app using an email account. Younger users have the ability to sign up using their smartphone and a parent's email address. From there, users can begin to interact and engage with other users of the app. Small Player Big Play app also gives users the ability to live stream full games and events. You can live stream your event so that friends, family, or anyone in the world can see you in action. Users can also share posts from the app to their other social media accounts like Facebook and Twitter. What are you waiting for? Get in the game and share your love of sports with the world. Download the Small Player Big Play app today.
All right, everyone, and welcome to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, episode 306, brought to you by Small Player Big Play, the latest app offering to help promote youth athletics. So for more, please visit smallplayerbigplay.com and download the app on the Apple App Store or the Google Play App Store. I'm Joe Mays. We're going to be talking about NFL tonight here on the show. Yes, we are beginning our season previews, if you can believe it. Diving into those already. It's mid-May, so this is about accurate for the last few years since we shifted things up by about a month to accommodate the Bulldog Hour in August. So we like to spend the next 8 episodes of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show talking about the upcoming NFL season. And I'm not going to be doing that alone. Let's bring in my co-host, Mr. Justin Raffoff.
Yeah, it's it's an exciting time when we start talking about what the NFL season is going to, or how it's going to play out. Obviously this season there's lots of unknowns, but I'm excited to talk about what we think is going to play on the field or what's going to unfold on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully there's no delays or cancellations. Things are probably going to be different no matter what. But let's just hope that a season happens and we get to enjoy some professional sports. I guess quickly, maybe before we dive into dissecting the NFC West here on the first part of our 2020 NFL preview, maybe a quick update on what's going on with the other professional leagues. Word is coming out last week and entering this week that baseball is hoping to start kind of like what Justin and I have been saying for the last month, around the 4th of July. That's what's being put on the table. There's some things to address. Obviously, health and safety is the primary issue, but there's also going to be the money aspect that they're going to address. But recent rumors have said that MLB is looking around 80 games or so, and they want to start in early July, July 1st, July 4th, somewhere in that area. Like I said, Justin and I have been
Right.
all over that for a while.
So I know it won't happen exactly like that, but did you see the Bryce Harper plan that he put out there?
Yeah, you had
Man, like,
messaged me about it, and I took a look.
oh my gosh. Like, if that could happen, and look, I understand there are lots of obstacles all over the place, but like, I think that would be really cool. Like, I'm not opposed to baseball changing things rather drastically, especially for this year, because it is going to be so different, most likely, than anything we've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they can just push it back and we're going to play 162 games and go through the Super Bowl. You know, like, it's not going to be like that. So if you were ever going to do something crazy, like, now's the time to do it, you know? So I understand it's not that simple. There's lots of things to work out, but there were a lot of aspects to that Bryce Harper plan that I thought were pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun to come up with something unique, and that seems to be the way that the NHL is favoring. Last I heard of their 31 teams, they wanted to do a restart with 24 of them and essentially kind of be a quasi playoffs. There would be a round robin involving the teams, and they would kind of seed based on that, and certain teams would be able to get buys into the main rounds of the playoffs. They're still working on that as well, and I don't think they've really mentioned a targeted start date because until the facilities open and players come back from their international homes, which is going to make health and safety even more difficult, more so than at least Major League Baseball. They need to go just like baseball, 2-3 weeks of warm-ups again. You got to get these guys fit and ready to go through the rigors of the NHL playoffs, which we know is the best playoffs in all of sports, is watching Stanley Cup playoffs. And it's probably the one that takes the most physical toll over, an 8-week period. I think they still want to keep 7 games for the majority of the playoff series after, that introductory stuff is done. So, if they're looking to start mid to end of June, we should know this week. If not, it's going to be into July. And, NBA has been talking about the same situations. They've been antsy to open up their facilities to get people back. I have not heard much on their end on what they are expecting to do when they return. Have you heard much about the NBA, Justin?
I know there's been some talk about like places opening up that are able to open up their facilities and things like that, because you have places all over the country that are, like it's crazy because it's not the same everywhere at the same time, and that's what adds some even more complications into this complicated mess, so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I know NBA was looking at, similar to hockey in terms of there probably will be some kind of maybe expanded playoff format. I know they were hoping to keep it at 7 rounds, best of 7 for the rounds of the playoffs. That would at least match what there was before, but maybe there's some play-in factors, since they didn't get to finish the regular season yet. Like, I know they were throwing around lots of those things. I don't really know exactly how it's going to play out. I don't think they do yet either. But in my opinion, basketball is the one where they can, if they have maybe 10 days notice, I feel like they can get things rolling there. You know what I mean? More so than the other sports. So I think basketball, they probably feel like they probably need 2 weeks notice, but I feel like we could find out early June that basketball starting late in June. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think, I just feel like there's less there that would complicate things, unlike baseball, where essentially they're going to have to mimic some of spring training all over again.
Right. You don't have individuals having to get up to,
right.
Hockey ability or pitching ability.
Right.
Basketball
right.
is...
Like, I know the hockey guys stay in shape, but not like the guys have ice rinks at their house,
Right. That's the issue. Like basketball, you can go out to your driveway and shoot around. You can head to the I mean, if you have your own gym, when you're talking about professional basketball players, a lot of them probably have their own courts.
Have their own courts.
Right. So it's much easier for them to stay in game shape than it is for baseball players and hockey players. So I do agree.
Right.
When the NBA has an idea, I think they will be able to spring back up within 2 weeks, whereas the others are going to take, a week or two to get ready, and then, a 2-3 week training period before they can really start games. So I do expect all of them to return. I know there are people that don't think that's going to happen. These leagues have to come back. They cannot skip an entire year. There will be chaos. We're already talking about the impacts of this on next seasons before this one's even come back and finish. There's all talks about what's going to happen with the salary caps and players in escrow, especially in the NHL. It's wreaking havoc on the developmental leagues, which, are somewhat related to the professional leagues, but are not fully funded by the professional leagues. And, what's going to happen with minor league baseball and the AHL and the lower levels there and all that kind of stuff. Right. So things are really up in the air.
You had mentioned a while ago, this is probably a couple months ago, I think, that, and this might not have been on the show. This may have been just in a conversation that we had about how, like, hockey relies a lot on ticket revenue to pay the bills. And not that there's a lot of money made in baseball, and that number's been thrown around in the high 30s to low 40% range, in terms of the revenue and stuff like that. But like when you talk about sports like football, ticket revenue, while a massive number, it doesn't come anywhere close to the TV deals, and same thing for some of the baseball teams. They make a lot of money on tickets, but they make a ton of money on the broadcast rights because there's local and national rights and all of that stuff, and it gets really complicated. But hockey relies a lot on they get some from the TV deals. It's not like they're not getting anything there, but they rely a lot on the ticket revenue. So it's not going to look that way when it comes back, most likely, at least at first when it comes back. So there's lots of obstacles there, but there are lots of smart business people in these sports, and we like to bash the commissioners, but it's not like there's single guys running these leagues. These are billion-dollar companies essentially, or organizations, and they're gonna do what they can to get it right. You know what I mean? Now it doesn't always work out the way you want it to, but it's not going to be for a lack of effort, for any of these organizations, that they get out there pretty much as soon as they feel like they can, and do it safely. And, in their eyes, from the NBA or the NHL or whatever, start making money again, or at least cutting their losses again. And then, from the fan standpoint, like, hey, give us something to watch. You put it on, it's going to be on my TV.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL draft went like ridiculous. The amount of viewers they got, it went up like 38% or something ridiculous over last year.
It's funny because when you think about it, all the pomp and circumstance, not all, 90% of the pomp and circumstance of it was gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't the big overblown production. Like, I saw some people that were like, listen, like, I'm not saying we should do it because they like the idea that it's a big show and stuff, but they're like, from a viewer standpoint, they liked it more this year because it was just more of the football stuff, but there's lots that goes into that. But we talked about this before, but July, I would love for July to be when places, can really start getting back, and some of these sports can start coming back. And man, July could be an incredible sports month, and I would love for it to be, because that would be a good sign. That would mean hopefully that things
absolutely
are slowly but surely moving along in the right direction.
Right. So, and this isn't even us being able to comment on, college football or scholastic sports. All that is up in the air. Everyone's doing things differently. As a huge disappointment, it would be a huge disappointment for scholastic sports to be canceled. But in the long run, scholastic sports aren't going to go away. Whereas I worry if collegiate sports get canceled, college sports could go away. I don't think people understand how dire it would be if college football would be canceled. We've already started to see some athletic departments get rid of
yep.
sports because of spring sports being canceled. But if you get
Right.
rid of football in the fall, college athletics could be in significant danger of going away, at least the way it is now, where there
Right.
are hundreds of universities
It-
that offer sports programs.
Yeah.
That will not be the case anymore.
Exactly. College football will still be around in a couple years. It may, if there are severe issues rolling through this college football season, it could look very different in a couple years than it does right now. And that's, it's hard to speculate what that would actually be, but just, schools that are, breaking even or slightly not breaking even in athletic department, there's no room for something like this, so it's just like in that regard, it's just like any other business, and so you're not, you can do things all you want. There aren't many places that are sustained to have something this, like a game changer of this level. There's only so much you can do to prepare or be prepared.
Yeah, no, completely. And we could have, I mean, if it comes down to it and the college football's announced, I'm sure we could have entire shows talking about the aftermath and, what could and will not happen. And, hey, if scholastic sports are canceled, we might have a lot of time to talk about there not being college football, as I don't know what we would do with the Bulldog Hour in case there wouldn't be
It's interesting, and this is not saying like I've heard it would be or anything like that. And honestly, there's been a lot this week saying that they're in a wait and see approach, which has kind of been their go-to mode for the PIAA and things like that. But it's interesting, I see some people be like, "Oh, there absolutely has to be high school football in the fall," and like, don't get me wrong, like from a fan standpoint, wanting it to happen, I obviously hope it happens. But like you kind of alluded to a few minutes ago, like, I don't know that there has to be, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, from a standpoint, there has to be, you know what I mean? But like, from a logistics standpoint, it's not like college football, like you said, or, NFL football, where they're going to find a way to make it happen. You know what I mean? Like,
NFL is happening. I know there are people that think that people are crazy to say that, but the NFL is happening. The NFL is not missing a season. No. They will figure it out. There may not be fans in the stadiums to watch until, the Super Bowl or something, but they are having a season. So that is happening.
I absolutely. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But anyway, so it has been a crazy, crazy time. Yeah.
Well, before
I do like that there have been little bits of sports like kind of trickling back. I told you before we were on the air, I watched Bundesliga soccer on Saturday, just because it was on and it was live, and it was actually entertaining. It was a 4-0 game, so hey, I'll take it. So.
Yeah, I know some international soccer has returned. There's been some golf back, racing. Yep. None of which interests me in the least. Of those, I may watch some World Cup or, Olympic matches in soccer, and I can occasionally will watch the Indianapolis 500 in IndyCar racing.
Yep.
And, what was it? Oh, golf. I'll occasionally have the Masters on. I don't, the big four, right. I might see a little bit of, but none of those really interest me all that much whatsoever. So I'm still waiting for something big to come back. And
I didn't actually end up with a lot of them on today. There was racing and some golf, like you said, but I have a feeling that over the next few weeks, as they are back, that it's going to start to find its way on my TV screen a little bit more.
Yeah, it may happen here at some point too, but I'm just like, I made it this far. What's another 6 weeks until, to at least, who knows what's going to happen with the NBA. I'm obviously going to be hoping the Sixers do well, but I'm going to be very focused on NHL and MLB.
It would be awesome if they didn't like all come back at the exact same time. Like if it's like that, half midway through June and NBA's back, you know what I mean? And then like NHL's back a week or two after that. And then baseball starts a week after that, oh my gosh, that would be incredible.
Well, my dad posed a question to us. If you had to choose a sport to watch and follow come August, out of all of them, because they could all be on at once, what would you choose? Now, he mentions all of them, and this does not include NFL because that doesn't really start till September. So he's saying if the NBA, the NHL, MLB, and at the end of the month, if college football starts on time, what are you watching? So I'm going to override him and eliminate college football because that won't start until the end of August. But NBA, NHL, and MLB will all be occurring at the beginning of August. So of those three, which one are you watching if you can only pick one?
So, like, are we talking like on any given night, or are you saying like for the duration of what it is, I'm only watching one of them?
I think it's like you can only watch one for the entire month.
Ooh.
That's how I took it.
Honestly, I'd probably pick baseball.
See, I'm picking hockey only because I know I'll be able to watch baseball later.
No, and that's fair.
And in August, you're talking like you're probably in the conference finals, maybe. And at some point in August, you're talking conference finals and Stanley Cup, most likely.
Right.
So I am absolutely picking hockey.
The reason I did not pick basketball or hockey was because I'm assuming that the Flyers and Sixers will have broken my heart by that point, and I'd be stuck watching teams that I was like, rooting against.
See, I do fully expect the Sixers to not be doing as well as we had hoped they were, but the Flyers, the way they were playing, I hope this doesn't jinx them and they can get back to where they were, because they had to be, a favorite to make more noise at the end of the year than they were expected to at the beginning of the year. So
I was going to say, on the other hand, it would be a very Sixers thing to like have their run be this year, where everybody would discount it forever. So.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? I would still be very excited to add that banner to the studio.
Absolutely.
My dad says he agrees with me because NHL will be in the playoffs and baseball won't be. And we definitely favor the two of those over the NBA games. I'm super excited. Like if baseball comes back July 1st or July 4th, like we talked about, like I always so excited to watch the Phillies. And every night that they're on, they'll be on my screen as long as the Flyers aren't also on in meaningful action. Because, baseball will be drug out until November, maybe beginning of December, whereas hockey will only be around for probably 2 months or so. But it'll be fun. Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to make that choice, and I can just watch Sixers, Flyers, Phillies probably every night for like 2 months. One of them will be on.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely.
And in the middle of the summer, when usually we're just like, when is football coming back? When is football coming back? Because by that time, like we love baseball, but it's the only thing on. So you can watch baseball all the time, no matter what. But to have the choice between, or maybe 3 nights in a row, watch Sixers, Flyers, Phillies for the entire summer would be that would be unique. That's for sure.
It would be incredible.
So half an hour into the show, maybe we should start talking a little football, since this is supposed to kick off our NFL preview series.
Yeah,
Now, I mean, we're starting at the bottom. So Nfc West, sorry, you're the least impactful in terms of our viewership and our listener base. So we start with you always at the top, because if something changes with you, it won't really matter. That's why we save the AFC North, the NFC East, and the AFC East are our last 3 weeks leading up to to August and training camps kicking off, because those are those 12 teams in those 3 divisions are the big ones. So we're starting out West, NFC, and we're looking at the Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, and 49ers. So, well, let's do what we always do, Justin. And, let's start with our 4th place team. And I'm going to put you on the hot spot first. And you get to tell me who's going to finish 4th in the NFC West this season.
All right. Man, this is really tough. I know who I want to go here. I don't know if I have the guts to do it, but you know what? I'm gonna do it.
I do. I have the guts to do it. And if you're probably gonna pick the same one as I am.
I don't think I am.
Really?
I'm picking the Rams. I'm picking the Rams to be in fourth place.
And what do you think their record's gonna be?
They
were 9-7 last season. After being in the
7 I'm going to put them at 7-9.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be a good all-around division. I really do. I think it's going to be very competitive. I don't think the Rams are going to be bad. I think they're going to take another step back from last year.
Do you think Sean McVay's on the hot seat if that happens?
Yes. I don't think he's on the hot seat this year. I don't think he'll be fired this year. I think he could be on the hot seat for the following year. I think there's enough. I'm getting way ahead of myself here. I think there's going to be enough chaos in the world, basically, to kind of give some people a pass. And I think he's a really good coach. I think he was overrated, and we come to this a lot on our show, meaning he was rated as better than he was, given more credit than he was due, maybe, even though he's still very good. Does that make you? I know you know what I mean.
Yeah,
but,
no, I get it.
But I think, and obviously, as you can see here, I'm having some other teams I think are going to be better here. So I think there's going to be some improvement with some key other teams that is going to continue to make it harder for the Rams. And we talk about cap issues all the time with the Cowboys, and just potential cap issues there, really. There's certainly cap issues, and we've seen it, and we were calling it for years because the Rams were giving away everything to win now. They made it to the Super Bowl, lost, and now they're a couple years removed from that, and they are paying that cap debt and releasing guys left and right. And have guys like taking them because they're saying they're not getting their roster bonuses, even though they weren't cut before the days that were in the contract. It's a mess out there. So I think it's going to continue to be a mess, and I think they're going to be slightly below average.
So my fourth place team is the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh my gosh! I thought you were going with the Niners. That's what I thought you were.
No.
I love it.
I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams too. Together. Hey, your play can be a reflection of how you look, and how they look is going to be trash. So,
yeah. Again, a step back. They got worse in their uniforms, and they're getting worse, like on the field, like their play as well.
I just like the logo reveal. It just didn't go over great. Now, of course, it was leaked with a draft cap, which wasn't the exact logo. It was similar, but like they had neon. It was neon and like cut out, and it wasn't exactly what they went with. And you see the logo now, especially the one I have displayed on the screen. Like I get it. It's a Ram's horn and not a Chargers bolt or the C for the Chargers. It's fine, but those uniforms that they debuted, like what I just don't understand what's going on with them. It's just what was a disaster. Go check out UniWatch. Paul Lucas goes over it in great detail. They are talking about their new bone uniforms, the gradient numbers, and how the uniforms, they're not inverted for home and away. They're different, and it's just kind of weird. So I was looking forward to their uniform debut all year, and I think they're the seventh team that changed this offseason. Some big, some small, but they're seventh overall, and they're easily the worst. And unfortunately for them, their SoFi Stadium counterparts are the best, easily. The Chargers rebrand was excellently done and looks great. So we're not talking about the Chargers this week. That'll be next week. But the Rams, I also have them in fourth place this season, and I have them going 6-10. Overall.
Okay.
So 3-game step back. Like I said, they went 9-7 last year. They didn't lose a ton, but I just don't think they played well last year. They lost Dante Fowler, he's probably the biggest one. Kicker Greg Zuerlein hadn't been himself the last few years. Nickel Roby Coleman, he's more infamous for what happened against the Saints. He went to the Eagles, but not huge departures there, but the big one was Todd Gurley. And I know people say, well, he wasn't, 2019 Gurley wasn't 2018 Gurley, and they're right. But are you confident that Darrell Henderson and your first draft pick rookie Cam Akers from Florida State, are they going to be able to replicate what what Gurley was able to do even when injured? Now, I do like the Akers pick, but I don't know that, he's not Todd Gurley. I do like their pick of Van Jefferson too. Both of those were second round picks. And Terrell Lewis, the outside linebacker from Alabama, their first 3 picks were solid picks. I don't know that they have what it takes to get to where they were 2 years ago. And I think 2 years ago was a flash in the pan. It was just kind of the vergence of a new coaching staff, young up and comer. They had a quarterback that had been in the league a few years and had a breakthrough. But I think we're seeing more recently the real Jared Goff, and their defense filled with names and talent, but never was able to put it all together. They traded a first-round pick to get Jalen Ramsey, and he's probably going to leave after this year because, like you said, they have some cap issues. I don't know. I'm not in love with what the Rams have done for the product on the field, both the players and their appearance. So I'm very down on the Rams this season. I think they're taking a step back. I do think that McVay will make it through the year. I don't see them dropping to like 3 or 4 wins or anything. I think they're a 6-10 team, not that close to a wild card, even with the expanded playoffs. And I think that McVay will be on the hot seat entering the 2021 season, and we could see a change in weeks, 4 to 6 if he doesn't right the ship quickly. But I definitely think the Rams are trending down for sure.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. So.
All right, I'll go next here, and we'll do a little snake back and forth. So I'll go with my third place team. My third place team is going to be the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're trending up. Last year with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, they went 5-10-1. I just think that they're going to get better. I think we're going to see a nice little improvement from Murray in his second year as the starter, like we saw from Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Maybe not to the extent of what Mahomes was able to do, but I think Kyler Murray is the guy in Arizona. And I think Kingsbury's offense is going to get better. I love their first picks in the draft. Isaiah Simmons, you and I have talked about how much we love Isaiah Simmons. And as long as they figure out how to use him properly, and I think they will, because while I've never been a huge Vance Joseph fan from his time in Miami or as head coach in Denver, I think he will figure it out with Simmons more so than the Cardinals had done with Hassan Reddick. And they got Josh Jones, which was a great value in the 3rd round to help protect Kyler Murray. So I think that everything will be okay in Arizona. I think a 2-game improvement. I think a 2-win improvement, I guess I should say. And they go from 5-10-1 to 7-9, but are trending in the right direction. I think Cardinals fans would be happy to be close to 500 in year 2, and that could mean bigger things in year 3. So the Cardinals are going to be my third place team in 2020 in the NFC West at 7-9.
Okay, I am going to go with the Niners here as my third place team.
Oh, okay.
I think
that's a big step back for them.
That is a big step back. I think they were a little ahead of things last year. I think they fall back this year. I'm going to put them at 8-8. I know that's a huge drop off.
That's 5 wins down the drain.
Right. And again, part of this is I need to make it work for my picks that I have left in this division, so, and honestly, I don't see them. Well, I mean, it could happen, but I just don't think it will. So, you know what? I'm going to go with it because, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I might as well miss big, right? So, I'm going to go with the Niners as third. I think they're going to come crashing down to earth a little bit. I know they played really well last year. I know the defense was kind of the key. To me, lately in the NFL, it seems like the dominant defense has been kind of has almost been more of a flash in the pan than the dominant offenses. Does that make sense? So, I look at the teams that have the solid, not solid, but like the dominant offenses. They have been more consistently putting up points all over the place year to year than the teams that have had the dominant defenses, except for the Patriots. The Patriots are the outlier to all those things, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they always are.
Right. So, like, except for the Patriots, like, I feel like, you get a great defensive, performance some year out of Team A, and then the next year their defense is kind of average. Now, while they certainly have, a ton of talent on that defense, I just, when we look at it, I just don't know that they are going to be better this coming year than they were this past year. Does that make sense? And again, you can kind of see it from the teams I've picked so far and the teams I have left. I think the Cardinals are going to make a big jump. And if we're going to snake back into it, I'll go into my second place team. I'm putting the Cardinals as my second place team in the NFC West. I think Kyler Murray's going to have a really good year. I think he's going to have, he had a sneaky good second 2/3 of the season last year. And I think it's just going to be really interesting to to watch how that develops. He's got incredible weapons. I don't know that they can still protect him. That's, always been, well, not always, that's been an issue in Arizona for quite a while now. So we'll have to see how it comes together. And one of the key things with protection stuff, and this is interesting because, and I know you've heard this because of all the draft stuff, and I know you don't follow the draft like you did a few years ago, but how they always talk with the linemen about how college linemen are asked to do something different than what NFL linemen are often asked to do, in terms of pass protection and things like that. And it's interesting to me because with the line being very different, but bringing Cliff Kingsbury in as your head coach, like, I don't know, like, if you're looking at better offensive line play, but you also brought in a college coach where a lot of times they say that offensive line style of play doesn't translate to the NFL. Like, well, what's it going to be? Are we going to be able to run that kind of offense where it does translate, or are we going to need to change our protections and things like that? So I'm intrigued at how that will work in Arizona. That being said, I think they're going to make a big jump. I'm going to put them at 9 wins this year. And I think they're headed in the right direction. I like the weapons they have on offense, and I think Kyler Murray's going to have a great year.
I don't disagree with anything that you just said because I'm putting the 49ers at second place and at 9-7. So I have them dropping 4 wins. You had them dropping 5. Not really that big of a difference. I think 49ers, until we get through all of the divisions and we get to our playoff stuff, they're going to obviously be in the running for the playoffs since there are now 7 teams in each conference that make it. At 9-7, you're probably in the running for that last wild card spot, and depending on how things play out, you could even be in running for the number 6 spot. But I think San Francisco's bubble team there. Why the big step back? Well, you kind of touched on it already. I think that the defense might be a little bit of a flash in the pan. Are they able to duplicate what they did in 2019? And I don't know that I see it. I just, we kind of talked about it leading up to the Super Bowl last year that they had that incredible defensive line, one of which they traded away. Now they drafted a replacement for him. They got rid of DeForest Buckner, sent him to the Colts, got a first-round pick, and essentially drafted his replacement in Javon Kinlaw. But what else do they have? Obviously Armstead, Bosa are the big ones that they're the ones everyone mentions. And, the rookie coming in Kinlaw, and they've got Solomon Thomas, who was a high draft pick a few years ago. But their defensive back, their big one is Richard Sherman, but he had a little bit of a renaissance last year, but he also was toasted a few times in the playoffs. Now, it didn't hurt the 49ers until the Chiefs made the comeback. I just don't know that Dante Johnson and Jaquiski Tart and the signed Jason Verrett and Jimmy Ward, I don't know if the secondary is strong enough.
And I wholeheartedly agree with that. The secondary is a huge question mark on that defense. And when you look at it, you've got one of the best quarterbacks in football in Russell Wilson. I'm not saying he's the best. You could argue that, but he's one of the best. And you also I think Kyler Murray's going to have a great year. So I'm not saying this because you picked him second. I'm just saying where do you rank Jimmy Garoppolo in terms of the quarterbacks in this division right now? Where do you think he'll rank going into next season?
Well, Russell Wilson is number one by far. I don't think anyone's close to him.
Not close.
I think, in terms of talent and ceiling, Kyler Murray is my 2. Now, in terms of on-the-field production, I guess I would, I don't know. That's tough for me because I'm sure there's people that would go Goff and people that would go Garoppolo. But honestly, to me, I guess I favor Garoppolo there, but I would probably put Murray third and Goff next, but Murray's got the much higher ceiling.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of next year might be cutting it a little close, but I have Russell Wilson by far and away the one here. Right now I have Garoppolo. So right now I'd have Garoppolo, and then honestly, this is probably taking the easy way out, but I'd have Murray and Goff kind of tied for third, basically. But I think after this season, I think Kyler Murray's going to be the second best quarterback in the division, going into next year.
I don't think you're wrong there. So I think we're on the same page. Surprise, surprise. We generally tend to think the same way, especially when it comes to our NFL predictions. 49ers, I'm not super in love with their linebackers. I feel like they overachieved on defense last year. Offensively, they lose Joe Staley, they replace him with Trent Williams. That's a downgrade to me. They drafted Mike McGlinchey a few years ago from Notre Dame, but they're keeping him at right tackle. They're not moving him over to left tackle. So you got slightly worse on the offensive line to me. Now, Garoppolo is, he had a really, really good season last year. Obviously, you don't win 13 games without your quarterback having a good season. And they've proven that they didn't necessarily need a guy at running back. Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, and Matt Breida, who's now in Miami. They did fine. But they got rid of Emmanuel Sanders, or they didn't re-sign Emmanuel Sanders. They drafted a guy in the first round, Brandon Ayuk, and they added Travis Benjamin. But to me, the only guy that makes me skittish if I'm a defensive coordinator is George Kittle, and he's a tight end. And as much as I like Kittle, he's not on the same level as Gronkowski was in his prime.
Right.
I feel like it's a lot easier usually to take out a tight end than it is a big number one wide receiver. So unless Deebo Samuel continues to get better or Ayuk has a huge, huge rookie year, I just don't know that the offense has enough to compete with the Seahawks, who are my number one by far. Not even close. I had the Seahawks, the 49ers in second at 9-7. The Seahawks went 11-5 last year. I think they could best that this year. I think they're 11-5, 12-4 team. I don't know. I like Russell Wilson. I think he can continue to prove he can do more himself without having little around him. They've just been kind of going through a rotation of running backs ever since Marshawn Lynch left years ago. Is it going to be Chris Carson or Rashad Penny? Who knows? They brought in Philip Dorsett from the Patriots. They have Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf, I think, could have a huge year. And they have four tight ends that are just absolutely nightmares. They could run out 4 tight ends on you, and I'm not sure how you could cover them all. Will Dissly, Jacob Hollister, they signed Greg Olsen, and they also have Luke Wilson. So you got 4 big tight ends there with those receivers in Dorsett, Lockett, and Metcalf. And I don't know. I really like the Seahawks. I like what they're doing. And I'm sure there's some people that are saying, well, the Seahawks offensive line isn't as good as the 49ers is, but I like what is behind them more than what San Francisco has. I like, I don't think Dwayne Brown, Mike Upati, Cedric Obui, and who's the other one? I'm drawing a blank on their two other starters now, but I think they have enough there, and Russell Wilson is just so much better than the other three guys right now. The other three quarterbacks that I think the Seahawks are by far the best team there, and that's not even to mention Seattle's defense, and they just continue to impress. They brought back a couple guys. Sure, they don't have Jadeveon Clowney anymore, at least not at the moment, but they still have Bobby Wagner. They brought back Bruce Irvin, and they're just seem to always get more out of their defensive backs than so many other teams do. So I really like what's going on in Seattle. I'm not a Seahawks fan, so it kind of sucks to have to say that, but I think Seattle is the team to beat in the NFC West, and I think they take the division back from San Francisco.
So how many wins do you think they're going to get? I know you said north of 11 is a possibility.
So I had the Rams at 6-10. I had the Cardinals at 7-9. I had the 49ers at 9-7. Pete Carroll can be an enigma sometimes, and his teams will lose games, especially away from Seattle, that they shouldn't. So I'll stick with an 11-5 season again, but I think they do that comfortably, even though that's only 2 games up on the 49ers. I think they'll stick at 11-5 because I also don't want to get caught in the ESPN conundrum where they always have their win-loss numbers never come out to 256 and 256. Right. So I don't want to give an extra win to Seattle when I probably need it for someone else. So I'm going to say 11-5 for Seattle this year.
Hey, there you go. You know what? I am going to push them to 12 wins, but you kind of mentioned all the key parts there. I really think I think they're just primed to – they're the best all-around team. One quick thing I did want to mention, man, I mentioned Arizona's offense and the weapons. When you look, their wide receivers this year include Larry Fitzgerald, who – can't believe he's still playing, but that's awesome. But DeAndre Hopkins, who they picked up.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that.
And Christian Kirk.
Right.
So they have two Hall of Fame wide receivers already, Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins. Christian Kirk, I'm not saying he's Hall of Fame worthy, but he's a young stud.
When he's a 3, you'll take that.
Yeah. Oh, and you have a completely wholehearted, offensive-minded, coach. You know what I mean? So, I think their offense is going to be interesting and going to really help them make that climb. But Seattle is too much. Seattle they're a really, really solid all-around team, and they've got the best quarterback in the division. And like we said, it's not really close at this point. I think the ceiling is extremely high for Kyler Murray, but I think that high ceiling looks an awful lot like what Russell Wilson is. And that's just a phenomenal quarterback. And he leads that team, they have comebacks every year. He's phenomenal. Something that is incredible. And I had to look this up because I didn't believe it when I saw it. Russell Wilson has never received a vote for NFL MVP.
Wow. Really? Huh.
Yeah. Not even he's way down there, but never has received a vote in all his years. And some of those years, at the beginning of his years, he was Peyton Manning and Tom Brady were still, up there collecting all the votes every year, basically, so there's some of that, but it's just interesting. He's in that company,
right.
When you look at the MVP caliber quarterbacks, he is certainly of that caliber, yet doesn't necessarily get that recognition all the time. And I think some of that has to do with, and you kind of said this, Pete Carroll and the Seahawks in general can be a bit of an enigma at times. And they'll just lose games and we're like, what was that?
Yeah.
Now, I know it's the NFL and it's not college football, so a loss literally can happen any week, but it's just one of those things where they'll have usually a stretch, a 3-week stretch where it's oh man, what's going on in Seattle? And the next thing you know, Russell Wilson will lead 3 comeback wins in a row and they're winning the NFC West. So,
right. Exactly.
I think Seattle's poised to take the NFC West and I think they do by a few games.
I don't disagree with you at all. So.
Yeah. But this is going to be an exciting division to watch. And it'll be interesting, the dynamic if the season unfolds similar to the way that you and I kind of feel it will here. It'll be interesting to see what dynamic that takes, because LA has their new stadium. Is it opening this year or is it next year?
This year.
It's supposed to be this year, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
So it'll be interesting because the new stadium and the dynamic there, if they finish 4th in the division, that would not be a good look. But maybe, I know it's not really what they want, but maybe some poetic justice for St. Louis fans, right? So.
So before we wrap up here,
that makes me feel better.
I want to say that my dad did also text about his NFC West predictions. He actually has, I think it's similar, or actually might be identical to last year. He has it Arizona, Los Angeles. Oh no, he flip-flopped the top. Arizona, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle from 4th to 1st. So if he would flip-flop his last and 3rd, he would be right in line with me. I just think Arizona's moving up, LA's trending down, San Francisco trending down, and Seattle technically trending up, although they were pretty close to that point last year at 11-5, one of the better teams in the NFC. I do actually think, now that I'm thinking about it, we had an email from my uncle, so I think let's quickly address that. I haven't read this yet, so let me pull it up. This is from Rich in New England, Massachusetts, and he said just some thoughts. Okay, I'm not going to touch on that first one because that could be an entire show, so it might be something that we have to come back to. Okay, I will be rooting for both the Patriots and the Buccaneers, but the Patriots more. I know there was a thing that was out there about the Patriots and Buccaneers not overlapping and broadcast until late in the year, and it only happens twice in 17 weeks, and the NFL said that was just a coincidence. I hope to be sitting in my seat when the Patriots season starts in September. I hope you're also sitting in those seats because that means football is returned as normal. I thank you for giving my Patriots team a good report card on our draft. Yes, we did do that because New England's going to New England, and they're going to find random guys that will contribute for 3 to 5 years before they move on and then do nothing. That's just the way that
Right.
Bill Belichick operates, but that's why the Patriots have been, unfortunately, the model for success for 2 decades now. You may both have answered this, but who will you be rooting against more, the Belichick Patriots or the Brady Buccaneers? I'm still going to be rooting against the Patriots because I don't really have any dislike for the Buccaneers. I know that could be different for you, Justin, as the way things went down 15 years ago. But, as much as I dislike Brady, I still dislike Brady on the Patriots the most. And with him gone, I don't really have much against the Buccaneers, especially because they're in the NFC. As a fan of an AFC team, there's no way I'm rooting more against the Bucs than I am against the Patriots. I'm still all in against the Patriots, and get back to me if the Buccaneers make the Super Bowl, and it depends on who they're playing. Because I could be rooting for the Bucs. I've always liked the Buccaneers. Going back to when John Lynch was playing for the Bucs and not GM of the 49ers, and Mike Allstott was when fullback still had a career in the NFL. I like those Bucs teams. So
yeah, I had a work done poster on my wall when I was growing up.
Yeah, work done. Great running back, Tampa Bay, and then in Atlanta. So
Yeah,
I don't have anything against Tampa.
That's a really interesting one. And honestly, as I was thinking, I was like, that's a tough question. I honestly don't know. I kind of feel like part of me wants it, like, if I have to pick one, I want it to be bad in Tampa. And I don't really know why. I'm trying to figure out why. I think because, like, I still accept that, like, New England is just good. Like, that isn't anything new for me. You know what I mean? Like, and I used that reasoning a couple years ago when they were playing the Rams in the Super Bowl, and I'm just like, people are like, how can you root for the Patriots in the Super Bowl? I'm like, because, like the Patriots at that point, where they had gotten, like the Patriots winning and continuing to win meant nothing new. Like that changes nothing. And I obviously it's not the same now that Brady's not there, but New England being good is just still old news to me. It's old news with a new flavor, because Brady's not there. Tampa being good that's a problem for my team that I root for. And so I think that would, if I have to pick one, I want Tampa to not be as good. The other key part to that is, and this isn't necessarily a minor part, and this is just the fandom. This is not, I'm not saying it's me being a good person, but like I would sit there, I would be like basically living out that meme, of eating popcorn, like entertained as it's going south in Tampa as New England's having a strong year, and just watching what that would mean in all the hot takes that would be coming out. Just as like the, I'm just going to watch everything burn kind of thing here. So, in reality, if one of them goes really well and the other one doesn't, that'll satisfy that entertainment factor, I guess. So,
Right.
So we know what's going to happen though, right? They're both going to be really good.
And they're going to
be
play
a
in the
problem.
Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, and we're just going to all just sigh and, be like, well, that's it. Football is over.
Oh my gosh.
So he just says,
Yeah.
Finally, stay safe and have a great show. You're a true Patriots fan. So thank you, Uncle Rich, for the email. Glad you could get that in before we started the show. Keep checking in. Let us know what you think about the NFC West. And that goes to everyone, not just Rich or my dad. If you let us know what you think is going to happen in the NFC West. And we're doing AFC West next week. So definitely let us know what you think is going to happen. You can go ahead and send all of your predictions for all the divisions, and we'll try to remember to go back to them and mention them on the show about what you think is going to happen in the 2020 NFL season. So before
we need to give a quick shout out. Rich from New England is also the show archivist, because
that's true.
Come the end of our picks, and we're like, I don't remember. He emails us and tells us this is exactly who you picked. So.
He keeps us honest, so
exactly.
Yeah, that really does help. So before we go, I want to give this a try here. I've got another advertisement from Small Player Big Play. Again, we thank them for stepping up and sponsoring the show, and we want to make sure that they get all the acknowledgments they can. And if you are interested in youth athletics, you definitely want to check them out. Again, Small Player Big Play. It's an app available both for Apple and Google Android devices. And it is a great social network for young athletes and their families that allow you to keep in touch safely and stream their games to the app. And there's a bunch of information on smallplayerbigplay.com, and definitely check that out. So we have another advertisement for them before we leave here.
Ever wish there was a sports app just for you? Introducing Small Player Big Play app. Ever wish there was a sports app just for you? Introducing Small Player Big Play app. The all sports social.
Oops. All right. So I got to fiddle that with that. Bear with me here while I get that to play properly. Of course, it's giving me some issues, but we will make sure that that is functioning properly. And try that again.
Ever wish there was a sports app just for you? Introducing Small Player Big Play app, the all sports social media app for young athletes. Live stream events for your friends and family who can't be there. At home or at work, they can watch your streaming on their phones or on TV by using a mirroring device or AirPlay 2. Download the app from the App Store or Google Play and create an account using a valid email address. That's it. Now you can find friends, join groups, or make new ones. You can upload and watch your own content for free. Watch YouTube uploads for free. Even more streaming options are available with our subscription plans and in-app purchases. Download the app and start sharing with the world your passion for sports today.
All right, so thanks again to Small Player Big Play for advertising and sponsoring the show, as well as to Mays Sandwich Shop for their support as well, both of them presenting sponsors of the Joe Mays and J-Raff show. But with that, I think that's it. Justin, any final words on the NFC West or the hopeful return of professional sports in the next 2 months?
No, just, I know it's little things, but everybody keep doing their part so that we can have sports back soon.
Yeah, that is an understatement of the year from a sports podcast and for two people and all the viewers that love sports. And hopefully we can continue to move in the right direction and get back to what we're used to and get some great entertainment to return on and off the field. So, well, thanks, Justin, for joining me. This wraps up episode 306 of the Joe Mays and J-Raff show. We will be back 1 week, Sunday, May 24th, to talk about the AFC West. So thanks for listening, everyone, and have a great night.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as the Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.